What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk to you about PayPal and all of the different ways that they can place limitations on you and how working with PayPal generally goes, okay? So to start off, the most common thing you'll hear about is something called PayPal Jail. PayPal Jail is something that's unique to when you start selling on eBay and you link a PayPal account that's related to this new eBay seller's account. When that happens, all of your purchases, all of the transactions you receive, the money will be put on hold for 21 days, or 7 days after you mark as shipped, or 3 days after tracking number is uploaded and shows delivery. So you're going to experience a delay before you have access to your money. What's interesting about this is that it isn't true when you just use PayPal for the first time. Again, it is unique to using eBay for the first time. Say that you make your own website and you have products that you can sell on that website, and you use PayPal to fund to handle those transactions. You don't encounter this same 21-day PayPal Jail thing. PayPal Jail is something that it's referred to as PayPal Jail, but really it's eBay PayPal Jail. It's not something that happens when you just use PayPal. It's specific to a new eBay selling account. And that's the most common thing that you're going to encounter is this introductory period for the first 90 days of selling where you can't get your money straight away. So typically what happens is after that 90-day period, you then get instantaneous access to your funds unless they're excessive. Like say that you're receiving like $200, $300 transactions, maybe those ones will be put on hold. But this concept now to understand is that when you have PayPal transactions, sometimes you receive that money instantly straight away, whereas other times PayPal puts holds on it. And there are systems that determine whether your money is going to get held or whether you're going to get it straight away. But this is something that is important to understand, that PayPal either gives you these instantaneous payments or they put the money on hold. And when it is put on hold, that's almost always what it looks like. It's put on hold for 21 days and you can get the money released sooner by showing that you have shipped the item, etc., 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 right? Aside from the PayPal Jail process, there's two other concepts that PayPal uses, or terms that PayPal uses to limit selling accounts. The first one is called a rolling reserve, and the other one is called a withholding limit. That's right. And there is a third actually called a collateral reserve, but that isn't used very often. But I know that PayPal can do it, right? So let's start with a rolling reserve. A rolling reserve is something that's placed on PayPal on an account when PayPal deems that the account is more risky than normal. So this could be because you're drop shipping. It could be because your account balance went negative for a period of time and PayPal viewed that as risky. There's a whole lot of factors that could come into play here. But when PayPal feels that your transactions are risky, what they're going to do is they're going to place a rolling reserve on your account. And what this means is that a certain percentage of every transaction that you receive is going to be put on hold for a certain number of days. And this is a separate process from PayPal Jail. So in this situation, say that you receive a $100 payment, you have a 10% rolling reserve for 90 days. So that means that $10 of that transaction is put on hold for 90 days. And so the way it works is that there's the period of time that the money's put on hold, and then there's also the percentage of incoming money that is being placed on hold, right? So the lowest rolling reserve that I've seen is like 5%, and I had a 5% rolling reserve for a period of time. The biggest rolling reserve I've ever heard about is a 30% rolling reserve, which is pretty crazy. Imagine if 30% of your transactions were inaccessible for 90 days, right? And so then the period of time can either be 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. So ideally it's 30, because then, you know, the money's only put off by a month. And rolling reserves, they kind of sound like the end of the world, right? But they are necessary for PayPal to have some kind of system like that in order to kind of regulate things a bit. Because ultimately, PayPal's not taking your money. What they're doing is ensuring that you can handle cash flow and that you're going to be able to kind of be more long-term. Because ultimately, what ends up happening when you get a rolling reserve placed is it sucks straight away because you're getting less money from your payments. But once the period of time that the rolling reserve lasts for, like say it's a 30-day rolling reserve, once that 30 days pass, then yeah, 10% of your payments are being put on hold, but you're also receiving 10% from the previous 30 days. So it ends up balancing out after you get through that initial period of time, okay? So rolling reserve, they take a percentage of every sale and they put it on hold for a certain amount of time. And these rolling reserves usually last like between I think you can get them checked to see if you're eligible to have it changed or tweaked every 6 months, right? So you can get out of rolling reserves by lowering your defect rate and by not having too many refunded transactions through PayPal. There are ways to be less risky in PayPal's eyes, because as soon as you are less risky, then you're going to be able to work with PayPal and get any kind of limitation that they've placed on your account removed, right? So now that we've covered a rolling reserve, let's get on to a withholding limit. Withholding limits, I probably should have gone over withholding limits first because they're usually placed before a rolling reserve is placed. And the way a withholding limit works is it's a way to kind of cap your growth. If PayPal, if they feel that your transaction history is too irregular and it's suddenly spiked a whole lot, they may place a withholding limit on your account. And this is a way of PayPal from protecting itself from people growing like too suddenly and suddenly like getting like scaling their business too big and losing control of it and getting too out of hand, right? It's a way for PayPal to protect themselves against that. So when you have a withholding limit, almost all of your payments will be received instantly. But once you've received a certain number or a certain dollar amount in payments for the month, your payments will no longer be received instantly. Any payments made after that mark will be, it's like you're in PayPal jail if you earn more than 40K, right? So imagine you have a withholding limit of $30,000. That would mean that if you receive $20,000 for the month, you get almost all that money straight away, instantly, yeah? But once you get to, let's say, $35,000, you're going to get the first $30,000 instantly, but the $5,000 after that, it's going to be as if you're in PayPal jail. So those specific transactions that put you over 30K for the month are going to be placed in that same hold process, where you get the money after 21 days, or after 3 days showing delivery, or 7 days after marking as shipped, right? So withholding limits, again, they're not as common as rolling reserve. A rolling reserve is PayPal's way of being like, okay, we've analyzed this data and this is how we're going to mitigate our risk. This is the thing that we're going to place on your account until we negotiate something else with you, right? And I say negotiate, but until your numbers allow us to change, to lower the rolling reserve. Generally, PayPal uses account withholding limits to kind of to mitigate things while they're still going on, right? Before PayPal's really aggregated more data. So the way it typically would work is that you would start off selling, and you would deal with PayPal jail. And then after that, you would get most of your payments instantaneously, except the ones that are like out of the ordinary, or eBay feels are sketchy or whatever, right? And then maybe a withholding limit gets placed on your account if you're growing too quickly, right? You have too many sales suddenly. That withholding limit is going to change pretty rapidly. Like they're kind of like eBay account limits in that they can be raised every 30 days. In my experience with withholding limits, I was never able to physically get one to be raised by requesting that it get raised. It was almost always automatic because I would hit the limit and then it would raise the limit for the next month, right? And I think in total I had a withholding limit for like 3 or 4 months. And then it just, as far as I know, you can't have a rolling reserve and a withholding limit. You can only have one or the other. So once they placed the rolling reserve on my account, then the withholding limit was removed. And then once 6 months later they lifted the rolling reserve, now I receive all payments instantaneously regardless of size. So now it's like established, right? And if I were to have a sudden spike in PayPal cases being opened against me and all that kind of stuff, then it's probable that they would place another rolling reserve on my account. But those are the main ones. And so now we can talk a little bit about this collateral reserve, because this is another thing that PayPal can do. So a collateral reserve is when PayPal feels that they need to make sure that a certain amount of money in your account is available. So they're going to place a set amount of money on hold. So they could place like $2,000 on hold, or $3,000, or $1,000, whatever. So that means you can't withdraw that money, you can't access that money. That money is effectively frozen. And it's there because PayPal feels that there's going to be some kind of expense that you've incurred or something where you're going to have to refund a buyer, or a case is going to get opened. It's PayPal's way of being like, again, I don't know. I've never experienced a collateral reserve, but my understanding is it's what they do when like maybe an account is going to get shut down, but there was money in it. There's a couple different scenarios, and they're all not good. You don't want a collateral reserve being placed on your account. And that's not something you should typically experience as far as I know. So if you've experienced the collateral reserve, then comment, let me know what that was like. Let me know what led to it. That would be awesome. And yeah, as usual, thanks for watching. I appreciate your guys' time and attention. I haven't been so great. I'm going to be doing more of the kind of screencast dropshipping videos, because I understand that's like my forte. I don't always want to just be talking about stuff because it's really kind of abstract. And I like to show the work more often than just talking about it, right? So just something to keep in mind. All right, guys. See you next time, okay? Bye.